I bought this headset on eBay 3 days ago. The listing said for parts or repair screen glitches. It was cheap, $80 for a unit that usually retails for $500. I thought I could fix it. I'm good with hardware. I figured it was just a loose ribbon cable or a dead pixel array. I was wrong. The hardware is fine. The screen isn't glitching. It's showing exactly what is stored in the memory. When I first booted it up, I expected a factory reset screen. Instead, it loaded straight into the home environment. The previous owner hadn't wiped the drive. That happens sometimes. Usually, it's just save files for Beat Saber or some pirated movies. I went into the settings to clear the storage. That's when I saw the file size. 120 gigabytes of room scale data. That didn't make sense. A standard room map, the mesh data that tells the headset where your walls and furniture are, is usually a few megabytes. This was terabytes of compressed spatial geometry. Curiosity got the better of me. Instead of deleting it, I clicked Load Map. The headset froze for a second. The fan spun up to maximum speed. And then, the pass-through cameras engaged. I was standing in my bright, modern kitchen. But through the lenses, I was somewhere else. The headset was overlaying the saved room data onto my physical reality. It was a perfect 1:1 scale overlap. Where my fridge stood, the wireframe showed a rusted metal shelf. Where my kitchen island was, the mesh showed a heavy, surgical-looking table. The walls of the saved room were closer, tighter. It looked like a basement, or a cell. The tracking was incredible. If I walked forward, the parallax was perfect. I was essentially walking through a ghost of a room that existed somewhere else, sometime in the past. Then I saw the red areas. In Lidar scanning, red usually indicates a dynamic object, something that moved during the scan. There was a red cluster in the corner of the room. A huddled mass of polygons. I walked over to it. In my kitchen, I was standing next to my dishwasher. In the headset, I was standing over a person curled up in a fetal position. The detail was low poly, faceless, just a wireframe cage of a human. But the body language was clear. They were terrified. I tried to touch it. My hand passed through the digital mesh. Suddenly, the mesh shifted. The figure in the corner looked up. Not at me. It looked at the door. In the saved map, the door flew open. Another cluster of polygons entered the room. This one was tall. Distorted. It held something in its hand, a long, jagged shape that looked like a pipe or a weapon. I realized I wasn't looking at a static map. I was watching a volumetric recording. A 3D video of an event. The tall figure walked towards the huddled figure. The victim scrambled backward, phasing through my kitchen cabinets. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. The audio kicked in. It wasn't recorded audio. It was reconstructed audio based on vibrations picked up by the headset's accelerometer. It sounded muffled, underwater. Thump. Thump. Scream. I ripped the headset off. I was back in my kitchen. Silence. Sunlight. My heart was racing. I had just watched a digital reenactment of an assault. Or worse. I decided to take the headset to the police station. I packed it back into the box. But before I closed the lid, I noticed something scratched into the plastic casing of the visor. It was faint, but legible. A set of coordinates. And a date. The date was tomorrow. That was 6 hours ago. I haven't gone to the police yet. I rechecked the files. The timestamp on the room scale data isn't from the past. According to the file metadata, this scan was created 2 hours from now. I am sitting in my living room. I have the headset on my lap. The cameras are on. It's projecting the map again. The wireframe room isn't a basement anymore. It's my living room. The mesh matches my furniture perfectly. But the red area is back. There's a red wireframe figure standing right behind my chair. It's not moving. It's waiting. I think the listing on eBay was a lie. This headset wasn't sold for parts. It was passed on. Like a curse. And now the recording is catching up to the timeline. I can hear the front door handle turning. Not in the headset. In real life. The file size just increased. It's recording new data.
I didn't move. I couldn't. I just watched the brass handle of my front door rotate slowly, catching the light from the hallway lamp. In the real world, the door opened. But there was no one standing there. Just the empty corridor of my apartment building. The motion sensor light in the hallway didn't trigger. The air was still. But inside the headset lying on my lap, the story was different. Through the glowing lenses, I saw the tall figure step through the digital wireframe of the door. It was massive, scraping the top of the door frame. It didn't walk like a human, it glitched forward, teleporting a few inches with every frame, like a corrupted video file buffering in real time. It stepped into my living room and stopped. It turned its faceless, polygonal head slowly, scanning the room. It was looking for the victim. It was looking for the red wireframe figure huddled in the corner. And then, the impossible happened. The red figure in the corner dissolved. The pile of polygons that represented the victim simply shattered into digital dust and vanished. The tall figure stopped scanning. It slowly turned its head again. It looked directly at the camera. It looked directly at me. I realized my mistake instantly. The red area wasn't a recording of someone else. It was a placeholder. An empty variable waiting for a subject. The file wasn't playing back a murder. It was running a script. And I had just positioned myself exactly where the actor needed to be. The headset began to vibrate violently. A high-pitched squeal emitted from the speakers, piercing my ears. I tried to push the device off my lap, but my hands wouldn't obey. It wasn't that I was paralyzed. It was worse. My arms moved, but not because I told them to. My hands grabbed the headset. My fingers tightened around the plastic strap. I felt the muscles in my forearms contract against my will. My body was being remote controlled. The haptic feedback data from the file was overriding my own nervous system. I watched, terrified, a passenger in my own body, as my hands lifted the headset and strapped it onto my face. The world went black. Then, red. Total immersion. The pass-through cameras were no longer showing my living room. They were showing the basement map again. The rusted shelves. The wet concrete floor. The chains. But this time, I wasn't floating as a camera. I had a body. I looked down. My hands were red wireframes. I was the victim. The tall figure was standing 3 feet away from me. Up close, the glitch effect was nauseating. Its skin was a texture map of screaming faces, stretched and distorted over a low-poly skeleton. It emitted a sound like a dial-up modem screaming in pain. It raised the weapon. I tried to run. I tried to scream. But the script wouldn't let me. The room scale data had locked my coordinates. I could only do what the file dictated. I felt my knees buckle. I fell to the floor, curling up into the fetal position. I was perfectly synchronized with the red figure I had seen earlier. The entity leaned over me. It didn't strike me with the weapon. Instead, it jammed the jagged device into the floor, right next to my head. The device wasn't a weapon. It was a scanner. A high-intensity probe. A cone of blinding blue light erupted from it, washing over me. Where the light touched me, I didn't feel pain. I felt deletion. I felt the sensation of my physical body losing density. My skin felt like it was turning into static. The smell of ozone and burning plastic filled my nose. The text on the HUD scrolled rapidly, uploading biometrics. 20%. 40%. It wasn't killing me. It was harvesting me. It was stripping the data from my biological brain and writing it onto the headset's hard drive. It was turning my consciousness into a room map. I tried to fight it. I focused every ounce of willpower on my right hand. I managed to break the synchronization for a split second. I reached out and grabbed the entity's leg. My hand passed through the texture. It was cold. Absolute zero. The entity paused. It looked down at me. For a second, the glitching texture on its face cleared. I saw the face of the previous owner. The man who sold me the headset. His eyes were hollow, dead, but his mouth was moving. He was whispering, "Trade. It's a trade." He wasn't the killer. He was the previous prisoner. He had sold the headset to pass the curse on. He needed a replacement file so he could escape the drive. And I was the new patch. Upload complete. The blue light turned off. The entity, the previous owner, stepped back. He looked solid now. Human. He looked at his hands, fleshed and real. He smiled. He turned and walked towards the door. The wireframe door opened for him. Beyond it, I saw my real apartment hallway. He was walking out into my reality. He was taking my life. And I tried to stand up. I couldn't. I was anchored to the floor. I looked at my hands. They were no longer red. They were part of the room geometry now. I was part of the furniture. The recording stopped. The file reset. I am in the dark now. I am waiting. I don't know how much time has passed. It feels like seconds, but it could be years. Time doesn't exist in the memory buffer. But just now, I felt something. A connection. Someone has plugged the USB cable in. Someone is wiping the lenses. I can see a new room. A bedroom. There are posters on the wall. It looks like a teenager's room. I see a face looking into the lenses. A kid. Maybe 16 years old. He looks excited. He thinks he got a great deal on a used headset. He is putting the headset on. I can control his arms. I have to. It's the only way out. I need to make him load the map. I need to make him take my place. If you're listening to this, if you bought a headset recently, and the file size is too big, don't load it. Please. I don't want to hurt you. But I can feel the script starting again. The tall figure is coming. And this time, I am the tall figure.